So they lost their competitive minds for a moment, right? And basically they hit the wall almost simultaneously, and they both put their arms up like this, which fractured the radial tip in their right elbows at the exact same time.
No. No. This story is made up.
Well, our first Growth By episode. Lori, thank you so much for doing this with me. Really appreciate it. This is fun.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
We have a good guest today.
We do.
That you procured.
Yes, I did. And I mean, it's kind of like family to me. So, and I went, this person's got a bio that would take the entire episode to read through. So I put the bio into AI and I got a summary of the bio.
Ooh.
So
okay. Are you going to say who it is first?
No.
Oh.
No, but we will at the end when
okay. All right.
I do the summary.
Okay.
So this person is considered one of the most accomplished figures in college golf in history.
Ooh.
This is what AI said. And he has built a legacy rooted in leadership, integrity, player development, and championship culture. 2 NCAA team championships, 2 NCAA runner-up finishes, 22 NCAA championship appearances, 10 NCAA top 5 finishes, 16 top 15 finishes, 9 Big 12 team championships.
How long is this, Matt? How long?
It's going to keep going. I know,
pages.
But good thing I'm not reading the whole bio.
Okay, all right.
So, coached 27 All-Americans.
Including you.
Well, yeah, I'm one of those. Coached 3 National Player of the Year winners. Coached 4 Freshman of the Year winners. 3-time National Coach of the Year by Golf Week.
Big deal.
9-time Big 12 Coach of the Year. Man, it just keeps going. And I'm just going to go ahead and make the introduction.
You probably should.
That we're interviewing
30 minutes, yeah.
Somebody that I have actually referred to as like a second dad to me. So Coach John Fields of the University of Texas, golf coach John Fields of the University of Texas. Thank you so much, Coach, for being here.
Thank you. That was wild to think that 39 years later, as a golf coach, there's something in AI about me, which is wild. But I thank you, Lori and Matt, for having me on today. And I'm excited about kind of getting into the growth and maybe different topics. And I always love talking about family and our team and anything else you guys want to talk about.
I love it. Well, I would say, like at the beginning, we're fresh. This is Wednesday, the Wednesday after Scottie Scheffler won the British Open. That was pretty cool to see. You know, honestly, he's making it look very easy. It's almost boring sometimes to watch, but you know Scottie more than most people. And because you were his coach. And he's even referred to you in a lot of interviews and the impact that you made on his life. But I would love for you just to share, just kind of to start this out, just what are your thoughts about Scottie right now and who he was when he was in college, who he is now? Did you see it coming?
That's a good one. Did you see that coming?
Yeah.
Blessing that any of the players that have come to Texas, for Pearl and I, my wife Pearl, we're about to be 45 years married, and I consider her the coach's coach. But for us, it's been a true blessing because we've had great people. And for me, it's kind of hard to single out any particular player. Yeah, we've had players that have won championships, major championships now. But everybody is important to us. And their success later on in life, as a parent, as a husband, whatever, those are championships also for us. I really believe that because I like to think that what we do is really important, but I know that once a player leaves us, it's way more important that they have a great life beyond what we did. So we're talking about Scottie. He made the decision. He's from Highland Park. His parents would say they were at University Park, not Highland Park, but so Scotty grew up at University Park and had a great high school career at Highland Park High School here in Dallas, Texas, and then came to the University of Texas. We were in a tremendous recruiting battle for him. He was looking at a lot of different places, and it really came down to Stanford. He looked at Georgia pretty hard, but in the end, he had some orange blood, and we were fortunate, and he came to Texas. And then when he got there, and this is a long way of telling you how important that win was, but it's important to kind of back up and know that when you say he's making it look easy, or that maybe he's very settled in what he's doing now, that was not the way it was when he was a freshman. And I think for any parent, your children, and this would apply in terms of growth. Scotty came in as a highly charged. I say that he was born with an extra gene of competitiveness, and that made that first semester very turbulent for him. Partially because Meredith, his wife now, who's just an absolutely wonderful woman, and a great mom already. The first semester, his wife, who was not his wife at the time, he was trying to get her to pay attention to him, but she was on the Texas A&M campus. And then he had gotten into the McCombs Business School, and all that served up to high expectations that he would have for himself as a golfer. And then getting hit in the face with a competitive value at a university in terms of the McCombs Business School. And then the love of his life is 90 miles away, and he can't stop thinking about her. So he was very unsettled. His golf was not great. I can remember talking to Jordan Spieth and Jordan saying, you know, what's wrong with Scotty? I thought he was going to come in here and do exactly what I did, which Jordan won multiple tournaments early in his career and became sensational right away. And I said, well, you know, one of the cool things, and this would be a person that came into your life as well, was that Randy Smith, who's at Royal Oaks, the teacher, and that's Scotty's mentor, teacher, sports psychologist, you name it, soup to nuts. Mm-hmm. He's way more than just a golf instructor, right?
That's what makes him so good.
It really does.
Yeah.
And so Randy, I was talking with Randy about that, and he goes, you know, Coach, he's going to take a path that is way different than Jordan or anybody else, because not one of your players takes the same path to their success in life. Mm-hmm. You pray that they arrive at that success, and that may be family, faith, it could be their business, it could be financially, who knows, everything. But Scotty Scheffler was going to take a different path, and he did, and it was very turbulent the first semester. So much so that it really worried his dad that maybe they made the wrong decision to come to Texas. Had nothing to do with Texas. It just had to do with the fact that he was kind of trying to find balance in his life, right? Which we're all trying to do. Right. Yeah. We're all trying to find balance, and that's the perfect place to live if he can. He began to take shape as a player and as a person, and the moment that his life changed was somewhere over the holidays. He finally got Meredith to pay attention to him. And then he invited Christ into his life. And when he did that, I mean, I'm just telling you, that's what happened, because he started traveling with more purpose as opposed to it's just about golf. Now, he still had the anger. He still had the competitive. We still had to deal with all those different things. So it was never dull with Scotty Scheffler for the 4 years he was at Texas. He was always trying to be better than yesterday, but he was never super goal oriented. So in other words, he wasn't thinking I need to do this and I need to do that, and then I'm going to do this and that. He just wants to be as good as he can be today. And that would be as a father, as a husband, as a golfer, and then try to get a little bit better tomorrow, which is what we've kind of always talked about with our golf program, which is just try to be a little better every day. Mm-hmm. So not to put a lot of pressure on you. But when he found peace, the rest is now becoming history. So, and it's not over. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just started.
I know.
Kind of.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So when you say, what does it mean to me? It just means that he's growing, and I'm really happy about that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I would say it sounds like, it would be hard to see this was coming in college.
Yeah, but I can remember sitting in the office multiple times with him being very emotional because he was assuming a lot of pressure because of school or relationship, or maybe he wasn't playing well. And it was just in his heart, and it would just explode in the office. And I did talk to him multiple times, and I told him, because I really, for some reason, I thought, now I've evolved as a coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe my gift, you didn't get to experience that. Yeah. And I'm sad about that, because I wasn't who I am today. If I was who I am today, you'd probably be on tour and you would be a whole different life. But maybe that wasn't the right thing for you.
Yeah.
Because you have...
Coach, God doesn't make any mistakes.
Correct. You have a great wife, you have great kids, and you're having success, and everything happens for a reason, right? Yeah. But with Scotty, I can remember being in the office. He's being very emotional, and I'm like, Scotty, when you become a major champion, when you win at the highest level, maybe you're the number one golfer in the world. It will be because you have found a way to be compartmentalized in your life. It will be because when you're with your family, you truly are there. You're not thinking about business or school. You're not thinking about our team or golf. You're with your family. And that goes for Meredith too, because I consider her to be part of your family already, because you're dating her. I know you're in love with her. And I'm thinking I know where that's going to end up, because I can see it in your eyes. And then I would say, if you're going to be at the golf course, then you need to put the phone away, because now you're at the golf course and you're going to maximize your talent. You're going to maximize your time, and you're going to be here, and that's going to give you the opportunity to grow. And then if you're at school, you're at school. You're really involved with your professors. You are doing your diligence. You're prepared on a daily basis. And when you're at school, you're not daydreaming about golf. You're not thinking about Meredith. You're really here. Yeah. And then someday that will be business. Mm. But you're going to have people that are going to be able to help you compartmentalize. But then you're going to be in charge of that. So did I think this was going to happen? For some reason, those things came out of my mouth. Maybe it's the experience that I've had acquired, and maybe the crash and burns that I lived through. Yeah. And all those things manifested themselves, because people ask me the same thing with regards to Jordan Spieth. Did you ever think that he would do this? I did vision that he would do what he was doing. When Jordan Spieth won the first two majors in 2015, he won the Masters and then the U.S. Open back-to-back. I knew that in his mind, he was already thinking, I'm going to win the Grand Slam. Mm-hmm. And nobody's even thinking
That's what
about
it felt
that.
Like,
yeah, and he came close. He finished top 5 in the PGA, and he finished top 5 in the British, and he had a chance to win both tournaments. Nobody'd ever done that. But I knew that his vision was bigger, and I've heard Jordan now talk about Scotty and saying that Scotty is way more focused on where he is than most of us. Yeah. Because we all take on other responsibilities, and they kind of bleed into what we're doing. And so maybe we're not quite where he is because he has this piece about him. Yeah. But I also know that's synergistic, meaning I'm going to be better because of his success. Our team's going to be better because of his success. Jordan Spieth is going to be better because of Scotty Scheffler's success. So is Doug Yim, Bo Hostler, Dylan Fratelli, Jonathan Vegas, all of our players. And then I think exponentially, that's a proud moment for a guy like you who's on our golf team to know that you helped build this platform that has created this unbelievable, successful talent who actually is a great person.
Yeah. 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 It's cool. I mean, it's I think Jordan and Scotty has really elevated Texas golf in a way that you can consider Texas golf a dynasty now. Like,
Well, that kind of gives me chills to think about that.
It is.
Because I never aspired to that.
Yeah.
That's not something that I would have thought that's what I want to do, you know?
Yeah.
I want to be a good dad. I want to be a great husband. I want to be a great coach. And I can tell you that I've done affirmations. You had these cellular phones that were like the bricks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we remember that.
Remember those?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd be in my car and I'd be thinking about different things about what I want to do. And I would call my voicemail and I would say, "You are the greatest golf coach in the world.
No.
The greatest golf coach in the world." And then I would play back my messages and I would hit that every once in a while. And it would just be like, I found that the reason I did that was because in the 70s, my coach had introduced us to Subconscious Golf, which was a group of tapes of how to think out on the golf course and maybe how Jack Nicklaus thought out on the golf course. But one of the key things that jumped out to me at that time was that Gary Player, 5'8", always dressed in black from South Africa, used to get in front of the mirror every morning and say, "I am the greatest golfer in the world." And he would do that a minimum of
It sounds like Gary Player.
10 times every day. And then start living that.
Yeah.
And then start living that and start living how that person is, right? Because if you truly believe that you are that, then you live your life that way.
Yeah.
However that is, whatever the ingredients or the recipe is.
Yeah.
And for me, I started kind of believing that. And then the affirmation is now Scotty Scheffler saying, when he was 8 years old, he started coming to the golf course in slacks, no matter if it was 110 degrees outside. And kids used to laugh at him like, "Why are you wearing those? We're wearing shorts. You're in slacks." Because I'm going to be a tour player and I'm going to be really good. And he lived that.
Well, you brought up a phrase a minute ago, and you used the phrase crash and burn. Okay. Even talking about your own self. So I'm curious, before Texas, right? And we were talking earlier, you started in New Mexico and you had this path. Like, talk to us about some of those seasons and if any of those entailed a crash and burn that you were talking about. Because, you know, this is growth by, and you'd mentioned there was a growing season before you came to Texas. Like, what did that look like for you?
Yeah. Well, I was at New Mexico for 10 years prior to Texas. And prior to that, I was a PGA golf professional working at a golf course in southern Arizona, teaching golf behind the counter. Man, I've talked about this, but trying to make sure that our members had a great day that day. That's what a golf professional is supposed to do. And before that, I played 1 year on the European tour. My wife was my caddy, so she got that vision to see how good those other players were, and I wasn't. But we did have one great year in Europe, 27 tournaments in 9 different countries, and she was there every step. And before that, we had gotten married our senior year in college at New Mexico. So like I said, we're going to celebrate 45 years. I was talking to her this morning and just praising her on being the woman that she is, because I don't know how we arrived the way we did with me being who I am and her having to put up with that every day for the most part. But she's the coach's coach, and she's helped me and our team significantly over the years. And I would give her, if anybody said, who's the person that you would give the most credit to, it would be her, for sure.
Yeah,
Pearl.
amazing.
Pearl. Crash and burns. I don't necessarily ever think about a team crash and burn because I have tremendous respect for golf. But I've only had a few crash and burns, meaning that a player that played for me didn't have a good life. Mm-hmm. That would be a crash and burn. Right. So there's probably, fortunately I can count them on one hand in 30 or almost 40 years now. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean that I'm not interested in that person. It's just painful because as a coach, you believe that you should be able to make somebody's life better. And if you can't, then maybe there's a roadblock there that I just don't have the skill set to be able to get to. And there's probably been 3 or 4 of those. two that come to my mind that make me really sad right now. But that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there's been individuals that have dealt with really tough circumstances that have been players for me, and we've managed to find a path for them to have incredible success. And when somebody might have just thrown them away, and we didn't do that. Mm-hmm. So fortunately, just a couple. And I don't consider like a bad season or maybe an unsuccessful tournament or anything like that as a team as a crash and burn, because I know those are just learning experiences. You know, Red McCombs, who's a Texas billionaire, kind of a John Wayne character. I got to know him at the end of his life. And when we finished second in a particular NCAA championship that was on TV, he was watching it. And I came and I sat a couple of weeks later in his office. And he goes, "I'm really proud of you." And I'm like, "Why are you saying that?" And he goes, "Because sometimes when you lose, you win." And you won there. I know you didn't win the golf tournament, but the way you handled that, the way your team handled that, the way it was viewed on TV, you guys won. But there's a Texas John Wayne kind of guy-ish billionaire that found a way to find something really powerful in what other people would consider a real difficult circumstance.
Yeah.
Did you see it that way? When he was talking about that and laid it out to you, like, did you?
I had not thought about that when he said that to me, but I had tremendous respect. I read his books. I got to know him. So when somebody like that means something to you says something like that, it's like, wow, I didn't think of it that way, but thank you. And when somebody, Pearl and I have always worked on that. When somebody gives you a gift, or when somebody says that I'm proud of you, or that says that congratulations, to tell that person thank you, because that means you're accepting what they believe they just told you.
Yeah.
Right? So it's okay to say thank you. Even when Pearl tells me she loves me, I'm going to tell her I love her back, but I'm also going to say thank you, because it's a gift, right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so, man, and I know that we don't get to be here that long, so might as well enjoy.
I hope nobody's given that message too much to Jerry Jones, because I'm ready for some winning to start happening with the Cowboys.
Don't be bitter.
I'm a Cowboy fan since I was 7 years old, and I've had several great times with them, with Coach Landry, and then Jimmy Johnson and the winning, and then even Barry Switzer that won one more. But I'm like you. We're like Moses in the desert. It's almost 40 years, man. Come on.
It really is almost 40 years.
So I think like the kind of getting a little bit to the timeline of your life, you had that time on the European tour, you had that time in New Mexico. I think it would be really cool to kind of hear what the inside was like when, you know, the selection process of being the coach at Texas. And did you get a call? Did you outreach? Just that process, because I mean, obviously that's an opportunity of a lifetime. And so what does that look like from the inside?
Well, I knew our fourth coach pretty well, Jimmy Clayton, and I knew that his career, even when I was at New Mexico, was kind of coming to a close, because they weren't having success. I don't know that he was having any fun, and I think he had gotten into real estate and doing some other things. And I really love Jimmy Clayton. He's a great person. But I could tell that his world was kind of shifting gears, not thinking that I would be the coach at Texas. So we had a conversation one day, an off-the-cuff conversation. And he said, you know, there's a possibility that when I leave, they're going to reach out to maybe the top 20 coaches, and you're one of those. So don't be surprised if you get a call. And sure enough, about 2 years later, I did get a call from Butch Worley, who was the deputy director of athletics at Texas. And he goes, we're going to be making a change, or we made a change in our coaching staff for golf. We know you've had success. Would you be interested in thinking about coming to Texas? And at that stage in my life, I had success semi-early in my career. So I started December 1st, 1987 as the coach at New Mexico. We had acquired the NCAAs for 1992. We were going to run it in Albuquerque at the championship golf course. And we'd also had...
You built that course, right?
No, that golf course was built in 1968.
Okay.
But it was a great golf course, and it was a great facility. And we'd kind of risen up and been very successful. We went to 9 out of 10 NCAAs there, and our teams had done well. We had great relationships with our players and our former players, and I had guys starting to go out on tour and have success. Tim Herron was one of those. So anyway, Lumpy on the PGA Tour, fun guy.
Yeah.
But I get that call, and I said, yeah, I would be interested in at least talking with y'all. So one thing led to another, an interview, another interview, and then here in Dallas, I think I was actually recruiting you at the Trophy Club that you talked about this morning. Mm-hmm. And it was an AJGA, and DeLoss and Butch asked me to meet them for dinner at a particular place. And that moment got kind of serious about how things were going to go. And I can remember asking, okay, because I'm coming from New Mexico, which was starved for success, and fundraising was a huge part of our world. And I'm like, I asked DeLoss, I said, DeLoss, if I did take this job, what would my budget be? And Butch Worley was sitting there, and he goes, Butch, what would his budget be? And Butch always called DeLoss Coach. He goes, Coach, I didn't come with a bunch of paperwork. I really don't know what his budget would be. And I looked at DeLoss and I said, DeLoss, what's a ballpark figure on the budget? And he goes, Worley, what's the ballpark figure? And he goes, Coach, I don't know. I have no idea. And at the time, the gold standard...
Was that because it was a blank check, or?
Well, at the time, the gold standard for college golf was Oklahoma State. They still are.
Yeah.
They just won the national championship this year. Well, I think we've supplanted them in certain areas, but I'm still excited for them because I think you have to have that. You got to always be chasing somebody, right? So anyway, finally, DeLoss said, hey, Coach, how about this? If we hire you, you worry about he said, who's the best program in America? I said, for sure, Oklahoma State. Mike Holder, Oklahoma State. And he said, well, how about you worry about beating Oklahoma State and I'll worry about the budget. So yes, It was a blank check.
Yeah.
And it was like, get the job done. I don't really worry about how you're going to get it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I still went in there and fundraised because
you've got a gift at it.
We were going to build a golf course. We were going to do other things to make our program and build the platform organically so that we could have tremendous growth as we went along, which is what's happened over a 29-year period. And it was just a resurgence of Texas golf.
Yeah.
And that's what it is today. And I don't feel like we're done. I don't feel like we have gotten to the top of Mount Everest. I do know that, like, for instance, then this is a segue into another topic, but when we've won national championships, the first one we won, DeLoss had actually we'd been kind of bumpy. Mm-hmm. And so by the time we got to 2012, my contract had not been renewed. And that's very unusual for a collegiate golf coach or a collegiate coach for that matter. Mm. Usually you've got a 5 or 6 year term. And when you get to 2 years out, they negotiate and then give you more. Well, they didn't do that. And they didn't do that for a reason, because they wanted more. And so that was kind of painful that particular year. And I can remember telling Butch Worley, are you guys going to do this, or what's happening with the contract? And he goes, I know this is a rough time for you, but it couldn't be at a better time because your team's number 1 in the nation. And you got a chance. And I can remember being up in Oklahoma at the regional thinking, we got to get to the national championship. It's not like a walkthrough. You've played in those regionals. You know how tough they are. And second day wasn't as good as we'd like. But that second day, he told me they're going to renew my contract. So that took a little bit of pressure off. But still, I hadn't signed on the dotted line. And so we managed to get through, and then we won the national championship. And that was like a gift because now I was in a more powerful position to do better with this next contract.
Yeah.
Wild.
Was there ever a time that you wanted to walk away?
No, but I can remember multiple times after you graduated, because we came in and had tremendous success recruiting. So Matt was part of our Fab Five, which was to completely rebuild the program. It would be like just throwing everything into a mixer and coming out with success right off the bat. Because we went from the 52nd ranked team in the country that I inherited to a top 5 team immediately. And then I told you, I thought our golf course was going to be there in 2 years, and it actually took 6. Well, those last 2 or 3 years had an impact on me because I had to keep the deal together, multiple meetings on a monthly basis with the 2 potential owners, multiple meetings with once we got that done with the build of the golf course, multiple meetings with the architects, multiple meetings with the structure of the build of the golf course, University of Texas Golf Club. And that distracted me. So you hear as a golfer, like if you take a lesson, that you need to keep your eye on the ball if you're going to hit it, right? Well, I took my eye metaphorically off the ball. My eye was now on the golf course because I knew we had to have that for us to have any kind of success going forward, and a great practice facility. So if you have a poor year or 2 or 3 of recruiting, that's going to manifest itself maybe 6 or 7 years later. So my most difficult years at Texas was 2005, 6, 7, and 8. And I can remember calling up one of my mentors and saying, you know what, maybe this is just not going to work out. Maybe I don't fit at Texas. And I got good counsel. I think one of the great things that I've had in my life, another gift, was having multiple mentors in my life, so that if I had difficult decisions or rough spots, that I could call that 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 guy, and maybe even a combination of all of them, and come up with some answers that will allow us to go forward. So those are kind of my angels, but I also I do an alumni message or email on a bi-weekly or weekly, or just depends on what's happening. But I do that because I believe that, well, my wife told me, especially going through these rough times, that you need to educate the people who support you and or the people that are your detractors. So I would get their email and start building into, and now there's 400 people on that email list, and a lot of them send it out to other people. So I think the reach is more like 4,000. And it's not always about golf. There's other things involved there. But I try to correlate our success or our players' success we've had a couple of guys end up in the McCombs Business School Hall of Fame. They're right here in Dallas. John Harkey and Sam Susser Bank and John Harkey. They're both incredibly successful businessmen that are proud to be Texas golfers. Yep. And so we reached those people, and we did that. So did I ever have a time that I felt like to walk away? I thought I was going to get pushed away. Okay. I don't think I wanted to walk away. Yeah. But I also trusted my boss. And I remember telling somebody, I love him. I appreciate him. And if he came to me tomorrow and said, we're going to make a change, you're going to need to go, then I would trust that that was the right thing to do, because I implicitly trusted him in how he did his business. He never did that, though, thank God.
Did you grow into that trust, or was it like from day one you just knew?
No, you grow into that trust. You don't.
You've been prone to a lot of stress too. And you can tell me if Texas is any different than any other school, but it does seem like there's an expectation at Texas that is different than almost all other schools.
I feel like there's high expectation at any school like that to perform and to win.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say this is Texas.
Yeah.
So I grew up in New Mexico, and the expectation there is kind of more survival, right?
Oh, that's way different.
But here, I mean, look out here right now. That's success in the business world, right? Southwest Airlines at that airport over there. I mean, everybody seems to be cumulatively trying to have incredible success in the state of Texas. And that manifests itself at the University of Texas. So Pearl was seeing our doctor, and he asked her, do you have any stress in your life? And she goes, I am married to stress. Me. And the point is because we are in charge of 10, 12 young people. And if you're really doing a good job as a coach, then you know every one of your individuals that you're coaching, and you're kind of tied to them like you are to your family. So if Matt's happy, I'm happy. If he's sad, I'm sad. If he's angry, I'm worried for him, right? And then I'm going to try to fix it like a parent would. And so...
And then you've got your own life to think about too.
Right. And you might actually push that the wrong way. So, and Pearl gets a kick out of saying, you talk about this compartmentalizing with Scotty. You need to do a better job of that. And that's the coach's coach. And I would say she's absolutely right. We need to do a better job of that every day. And I know that. And I'm 66 years old, and I'm trying to get better right now.
Okay, so national championship talk. What was the year of the first national championship you won?
2012.
Yeah. So you are, at that point, 15 years in at Texas. No. Yeah. 15 years in at Texas. And you see this team, obviously, the national championship now is a match play tournament. You progress, your chances get greater the further you go. And so basically you get to the final day of the national championship and you got a 50-50 chance that this is going to happen. Because then you've got 10 years at New Mexico. So you got 25 years of coaching. What was that satisfaction feeling? Because we just had Scotty talk about this last week that, what's the point kind of conversation of you're 25 years in and finally this thing is happening and you're going to win the national championship. Was it euphoric? Was it like, what was that feeling of finally winning a national championship?
It actually was kind of like a pressure release, because remember I told you I didn't have a contract going into this.
Yeah.
So I'll tell people I didn't enjoy it maybe as much as I should have.
Isn't that what everybody says about every huge thing that happmes?
Yeah, that we didn't enjoy it as much as you should have.
I would have expected it to...
Because the pressure was so great. But I mean, several things happened that week. One, we were able to get our kids flown in the night before the national championship. So Marshall and April were able to be there. That was a really wonderful moment. Because as much as I like to think that I've worked hard, I know how much they had to sacrifice for us to be where we were that day. Meaning, maybe Dad wasn't as good as he could be every day. And yet I'm maybe going to get to share this with them. And we were able to do it in 2022 as well. And so it's a group effort, right? Even in your success in your life, everybody's kind of paying the price for you to be able to do that, whether it's your wife or your kids or whatever. And there's a way to balance that out. But so for me, it was a blessing, but it was also relief, because that moment I knew that all these different things that we'd been through, not necessarily you would say was worth it, but at least it all built to that moment to give us the opportunity to have success. So I was very appreciative. And it was pretty emotional the next few weeks, months, when I would get up there and talk about it. But there were some key critical people that had come into our lives to make that available to us. The number one person was Cody Gribble, who's won on the PGA Tour. He just got married. We're excited for him. And he came out of that. I said my most difficult years were 2005, 6, 7, 8. He came in 2009. He changed the paradigm for us. That's how important he was to our program. He was a man's man. He was a great recruiter. He was sensational as a golfer, and he was incredibly motivated, and he was just like Scotty in terms of being competitive. He had an extra gene of competitiveness. And that absolutely 100% changed the paradigm for our team. And it gave us the opportunity to recruit Jordan Spieth. And that gave us the opportunity to win, because Cody Gribble and Dylan Fratelli were all Americans on that team before Jordan became a Longhorn. But when he came in, it was like putting a very special ingredient in a recipe that would take it to a level that you might not even believe how good this cake is going to be.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden we managed to get there, and it was at a really difficult time in my life for this to happen. So I'm a believer. There's no question about it, because first of all, if you cannot coach 18 to 22-year-olds and not be a believer, because the things that they do, the moments that they make bad decisions or great decisions or all those things, it's like, you don't question why. You just like, okay, thank you for giving me the ability to maybe deal with it. So anyway, winning a national championship is very special, but it's not the end all. But it is what we're striving for.
And then national championship, number 2, you've got the Cootie twins. They were on my podcast a couple years ago. 2 extremely special guys. I would first, like, just focusing on the Cootie brothers, like, is it a different dynamic coaching twins?
Yeah.
Or siblings in general, like own twins. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I never had that on my team before, and the gift there was that their dad had played at Texas. Mm-hmm. So Kyle Cootie, being the son of Charlie Cootie, Masters champion, 1971 Masters champion, Kyle Cootie came to Texas and didn't have a great experience. So we were very fortunate that he decided to help us get his sons to Texas. And man, what a blessing those 2 guys are, because they're also gifted with a couple extra genes of competitiveness. Yeah. And it's more so between the 2 of them than it is even the game of golf or anything. It's like, if one does something, it's like, if one does something, then the other one's got to go like this, and then the other one's got to go like this, and they just keep climbing, and they're not done. They won't ever be done. God put a fire in those guys that burns like no other. Yeah. And one of the cool things that I found as a coach, when you have somebody like that, you got to be really careful, because if I'm a coach and I throw gasoline on that fire, we might burn up.
Yeah.
So if you recognize that you're coaching, or maybe you're a manager and you're coaching somebody, or maybe not coaching, but managing somebody that has that kind of fire, you got to be careful what you say and how you direct people. A good example of that happened to me in New Mexico. There was a guy named Rob McMillan, and he was the Tiger Woods of Canada. He'd won 3 Canadian juniors, 3 Canadian amateurs, and a Canadian PGA Tour event while he played for me. His dad called me like early in his sophomore season, and he goes, "Coach, you got a minute to talk?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do. What can I do for you?" He goes, I need to be candid with you. He said, "Can you be careful with my son?" And he was my number 1 player. I'm like, "Well, yeah, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, you know Rob works really hard, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, for sure, he does." He said, when he's not played a good round, I've talked to Rob about this. He said, when he's not played a good round, or maybe he's in a little bit of a slump or whatever, he'll come to you, and he's told me this, and ask you, what should I do? And you're just telling him he needs to work harder. Just work harder. He said, "Coach, be careful with my son, because he might not go to sleep if you tell him that. Be careful, because he is wired to work hard. Mm-hmm. And if you're telling him to do more, all you're doing is throwing more gasoline on the fire, and he's going to burn up." Mm-hmm. And I prefer that doesn't happen. Yeah. I'm like, "Okay, Dad, you're right." And
I can see it in the Cooties, totally.
Yeah.
How did you change? Like you heard that. So what did you say differently?
Be more specific, not be generic in
Like
my
just work
answer.
harder.
No.
Go work on your putting for an hour.
Yeah, let's go do this because it basically pushed me to be a better coach because then I've got to kind of peel back the layers of the onion and figure out, okay, what does he really need to work harder at if he's got to work harder? Or what does he need to work smarter at?
Yeah.
As opposed to work harder. I learned that, at least. I had that when I coached you.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a lot of other. Sorry.
He's scarred still to
It's
this
all
day.
good.
Never
It's all
put
good. No, I just, I've got so much respect for you, Coach. So, and I love hearing these stories. Really quick though, I did have a very specific question. So the Cooties both broke their arm the year of the
what?
national championship.
They both?
broke their
How do you do that?
stress fractures. Which arm was it?
Right.
The right arm. Was that a twin thing where like a genetic
Yeah.
twin thing?
So here's what happens. Well, I'll just tell you start to finish how it happened. So it's their junior year or their senior year, 2022. And it's 2021. It's right after Thanksgiving and we're having our final fitness of the year before finals. And then you're done because the NCAA has a date when you can no longer, once finals start, you can't have contact with your kids as far as
Structured team practices kind of thing.
that.
Yeah.
And so we're having our final fitness. And at Texas, in the north end zone, on the basement floor, we have our fitness area. And there's a 40-yard track, just meaning there's a 40-yard strip, and at one end is a brick wall, but it's padded. So there's about this much padding, and it's done in nice
I think
Texas.
I've thrown up in a quarter
Yep.
coin roof.
And then
Never even went there.
and then on the other side, same thing.
Okay.
So they come to me and they say, Coach, it's the last fitness of the year. Can we have a relay? I'm like, we've done relays before, but we do it out on the field. But I'm like, and it's cold. So
Like running relays?
yeah. And we'd actually done a relay in there. So anyway, it's like, okay, yeah. I say, great, because we've already picked the teams. I'm the anchor on my team. He's the anchor
You're
on his
running
team.
as well?
No. The team. So there's
team.
The
there's like
Cooties are anchors.
there's 8
Okay.
guys.
Okay.
Two groups of 4.
Got it.
And the Cooties are the anchors. So you run down, touch the wall, you run back, touch the wall, and then the next guy gets to go.
Okay.
But you got to slow down and touch the wall, right? So these 2 guys are incredibly competitive with each other. So it comes down to them now, and it's neck and neck. And further, we're not really athletes, the golfers. I mean, we are, but we're not like the.
Wait, can
on.
you say that again?
Well, we're not like the track team that are Olympians and NCAA champions. But the track team's in there, women and men, and they're actually watching us do this because the Cooties are going so hard. So they're watching it. I'm standing at the end, close to the end, about 5 yards from what would be the end, just slow down and touch the wall. And so I'm standing with Mel Schmitz, our strength and conditioning coach, Mel, we call her, and then my assistant, John Paul Hebert. They run down there, slow down, touch the wall, no problem. And then they run down past us, and they're not slowing down. And my mouth's going like that. And they don't just run into the wall. They want to win, so they launch themselves into the wall. So they lost their competitive minds for a moment, right? And basically they hit the wall almost simultaneously, and they both put their arms up like this, which fractured the radial tip in their right elbows at the exact same time.
No. No. This story is made up.
So now they immediately both fall onto the ground.
At the same time,
They're on the
what are
ground.
you doing?
So I'm looking at my strength.
And you don't have a contract
No,
at this point.
no. In fact,
yeah, you did.
in 2022, I did. They both fall to the ground, and I'm thinking they might have hurt their wrists. I didn't think that their elbow would absorb that shock. But that's what happened. And so they fall down and they immediately go to the training room. And next thing I know, the next thing I see them both in they're both like in a sling. We've already come out of COVID, but they're both wearing a mask. We don't know at this point what has transpired, or if anything's broken, or if they're just going to be okay, or maybe they just bruised a muscle or whatever. So I talk with my track coach, and he goes, look, don't panic. You don't know. Maybe it's just a simple little thing. They're going to be okay. Then the next day, we get the word that they broke their radial tip on there, and it's going to be like a 3-month process. December, January, February, which means now we're into the spring season.
I was going to ask, like, what is really affected in terms of golf here? So when
golf swing.
Well, I meant competition-wise. So
yeah,
you're not in season when this is happening.
We just finished our fall season.
Okay.
But now it's apparent that they're not going to be able to play the first part of the spring season, and who knows how long that's going to take.
Sure.
So I went home, talked to the coach's coach, and say,
Pearl.
Yeah, to Pearl, and I said, I can't believe this has happened. They've both broken the radial tip of their right elbow. They're going to be out minimum 3 months, maybe 4. I can't believe this has happened. And she immediately says, that's a God thing.
Oh.
And I'm like, what do you mean? She said, twins, both have the same fracture in the exact same place at the exact same time. That is a God thing. And she goes, and you know what? I think it's a good thing, because those guys overwork all the time with their golf swings. They practice way too hard, and all they're going to be able to do is chip and putt for 4 months. So, fast forward, now we're coming out of it. Parker Cootie gets to play first. With those guys, we normally either finish first, second, or third in a golf tournament. Without those two guys, we're finishing 9th, 10th, 8th. A good tournament would be 7th. We just can't cover. You can't cover 2 All-Americans out of your lineup up. So anyway, now we're into March, and it's the end of March, and we're in Tucson, and Parker comes back, and we immediately finish second in the tournament. And then the next week, we're going to be at Augusta, and Pearson's coming back. Now, Pearson's more emotional than Parker, but now we're on the range at Augusta College's golf tournament, which you played at. Pearson's warming up for the first round, and now he's going to be paired with Oklahoma State, with Eugenio Chicario, who's the number 1 player in college golf at this time. And Pearson's hitting some balls, and I can tell it looks like he's kind of getting emotional. And his mom and dad are standing behind him. And I'm like, Pearson, you all right? He goes, yeah, I don't know how today's going to go. And about that time, I looked at his mom and dad, and they came over. They gave him a big hug, and he just started crying, because he had no idea what was going to happen. He was on his way back, but he didn't know. So remember, he had just chipping and putting for 4 months. And one other thing had occurred. Cole Hammer, who is now playing number 1 for us, because at least leading into this tournament, he had been playing 1 because those 2 were out of the lineup. And January-ish, I was talking to Cole and saying, man, I cannot believe this has happened. And he's going, well, remember, Coach, I had elbow surgery my senior year in high school. I go, yeah, and when you came out of that, you finished second in the Jones Cup in high school. He goes, yeah, I came back quickly. And he said, I said, well, did you hit it pretty good at the Jones Cup? And he goes, I didn't hit it good, but Coach, I made everything, because all I could do was chip and putt for 4 months. And so now this occurs to me, because Pearson goes out, and I'm watching this happen, and he's like, birdie, 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 birdie. And he's like making every putt. He's in the zone right off the bat. He ended up beating Eugene Chicario by 7 shots and winning the first tournament back. And the team wins by 20 shots over then the number 1 team in the country, which was Oklahoma State. And it was like,
It was just a catapult.
it was a God thing. It was like, and then that manifested itself in us winning the national championship.
Did you call Pearl right away? Did you call her?
You were right.
Like, hey, listen, Boo.
You're not going to believe what just happened. Yes, for sure. Because I'm trying to process that. It's like, how does this happen?
Yeah.
And then here's the fun portion of this is, okay, the next day they know they've broken the radial tip of their elbow. I'm like, well, guys, I'm going to call your dad, tell him what happened. And they're like, Coach, please don't call our dad. I'm like, well, guys, I'm in charge. I was there. You did lose your minds doing this, but I need to call them and take responsibility for this. I need to call your dad and take responsibility. And they're saying, Coach, please don't call our dad. Let us call him. And I'm like, no, I'm doing it. And they're like, please, Coach. And I mean, they're like begging me not to do this. And they said, we need to tell him what happened. And so they did. And I said, okay, when you are finished with the call, I want you to call me and tell me that you've talked to him and tell him that I'm going to call him and tell him that I wanted to call, but you guys wanted to do this. Because I don't want him to think that I'm not taking responsibility for this, because I am. Same thing. So they talk to him, then I call him, and he's like, Coach, these two, they've been like this. Maybe they will do some growing because of this. Maybe they will grow up a little bit more. And maybe they won't be quite as competitive. He says, nah, they're still going to be competitive, but maybe they'll be just a little smarter because they will have grown into this.
Yeah.
Because this is going to cost them. And it's going to cost you guys. And I'm like, I know. I'm sorry, Kyle. He goes, you don't have to be sorry. These guys are wired differently.
Yeah.
And we
talk about growth.
Coaching. Yeah.
Yeah. So can we talk about this workout facility? I just wondered if Matt ever went to it when he.
I know he's seen it, but we were in a dungeon when he was there.
Oh, okay.
A different workout facility.
Yeah, it was called DL8. And then we did work out in the football facility, which was state of the art at the time.
Did you work out in the football?
Yes, he did.
Yep.
And they would
showed
walk
up.
around like golfers.
We worked out at the same time as the cheerleaders. It was
That's a bonus.
Who was more athletic in that group?
It didn't matter. It was there. They were there, and these guys were going to be on time.
That is smart. That
was that on purpose?
was strategic. Oh my goodness.
All right. So during your tenure at Texas, something massive has happened, and that's NIL.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
And so I'd like to hear from you both the positive side and honestly the negative side, and maybe as little politically correct as you can be, like as it relates to you and your job and how it's changed your job, as it relates to the development of these kids, all that kind of stuff, like positives and negatives. Because I know there's positive sides and I know there's negative sides. So what are your thoughts around NIL?
Name, image, and likeness, which is the ability to pay these kids to not necessarily compete, but to be student athletes at any particular university. So when it was first being talked about, everybody saying, well, that's going to ruin amateurism. These kids are true amateurs. They do get scholarships, but the archaic NCAA rules where you couldn't buy a player a candy bar without breaking an NCAA rule needed to be out the window. And those things have evolved over the last 20 years. NIL was completely different, and it was because universities were capitalizing on the name and image and likeness of their players. And finally, a very intelligent, most likely disgruntled athlete went through the court system and got a judge to agree that they shouldn't be capitalizing, maybe sharing in the name, image, and likeness. The student athlete should also share in that. I don't have a problem with it. I think, to be honest with you, whenever things have changed, the rules, for most business people, it's the tax rules or business rules, laws, or even...
in my world, there's a ton of compliance.
It's a ton of compliance. But things change all the time, right? You're evolving all the time. And so if you're going to stay in the business, or if you're going to stay as a in the NCAA, you got to find a way to love whatever they change to. And because if you're going to hate it, you need to get out, whatever it is. And so I've always found a way, well, not initially, but the coach's coach again, you better find a way to love that. And I do, because I do think that the kids are capitalizing now on their name, image, and likeness. And there's going to be rules and parameters that are going to evolve. Initially, it was the Wild Wild West, and that wasn't great.
Yeah.
But it actually reduced the amount of cheating, because everything that used to be under this table was now on top of the table. And so coaches, administrators could take a chill pill because it wasn't cheating. And if you were living down here, well, that causes a lot of stress in your life. And what's sad to me is that coaches, administrators, but mostly coaches that got caught cheating years ago and then had their character questioned, or maybe lost their job, maybe even lost their family because of it. All those things are legal now. And it's like, why did we do that? Yeah. And so today, I feel like name, image, and likeness is a great thing. We need to refine it as best we can. But I think for in golf, a young amateur golfer who's coming up, who's, let's say, on a full scholarship, another thing that has happened is now we have roster limitations. When you played, we were called an equivalency sport, so we had the equivalent of 4.5 scholarships on an annual basis. But if you had 12 guys on your team, you're going to split those up. Maybe one guy's on a full, another guy might be on 50%, another guy might be on 30%. And then if we were going to grow as a team, we might have to move that around, and that was painful. Now we're going to have roster limits. So now we're going to be 8 players on our team, but they all have full scholarships. So now I don't have to deal with that anymore.
Yeah.
I love that, because that's more of a level playing field. And then name, image, and likeness, they're going to be able to get paid by a TaylorMade, a Titleist, a Callaway in golf. And there's other rules that correspond with how we're kind of navigating through this. But the truth is, the better you play, the better your life is going to be. And that's a motivator. And so,
and stay out of trouble too. I mean, you're not hearing a whole lot about college kids getting in trouble anymore because there's so much on the line.
Right.
There is a lot on the line, and being stupid and making stupid decisions, especially with substances, is like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
They can do that, but I'm not doing that. And I can't go to that party because somebody might take a picture of me and AI it, and next thing you know, don't have any clothes on and I'm going to lose my deals.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So you're exactly right. So there's a lot of positives associated with it. The negatives are that maybe they don't have the education just yet to be able to deal with the type of money that some of them have.
Yeah.
Or
they're making a decision to go to school just for money, and maybe it was the wrong fit.
Possible.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that our universities are taking responsibility, and they are educating the guys and the gals on how to operate and use their monies. And they also help them acquire an agent and those kind of things. And those guys are part of our team now, an agent.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And I bet you probably never saw that coming, you've been a coach for a long time.
I didn't see any of this coming, but it's here.
And you don't mind that the agents are...
It just kind of happened overnight, it felt like.
Almost.
Yes. The agents are, you said, a part of your team now.
I like working with them. I think they're great people.
Because they're a 4-year athlete?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of them are really good about, like, we're not going to take any money from you up front because you're still in college, but, we hope that we're going to be your agent when you graduate. And the difference, there is not a level playing field right now because different states have different laws with NIL. So, like, Texas just allowed for a high school senior to get NIL. Tennessee, it's like no holds barred. Anybody can get NIL at the high school level, not just a senior. And at Tennessee, you can sign a contract with, let's say, Nike, and that can go into your pro years. At Texas, the law says if you sign a deal with Nike, it ends when you graduate. Well, if you're Nike, you're going to put more money into a guy in Tennessee because you're going to get him after he graduates. you might not get this guy at Texas, maybe,
Does
but-
it go based on their residence or where they go to school?
where they go to
good
school.
Okay.
Where they go to school.
Yeah.
That's a good question. That's
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
lawyer question.
Ooh, interesting.
And foreign athletes can't work in the United States. So they have to do their NIL in their home country. So in other words, like Christian Moss, who plays for us, he's got a nice deal with Sunday Red, which is Tiger's line of clothes. But he can only advertise that when he's down in South Africa playing in the South African Open. But like this year, he finished 4th in the South African Open, which is a DP World Tour event. And he got tremendous exposure for Sunday Red, which was really cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
And he capitalized on that.
All right, Lori, let's do your lightning round really quick.
It's my rapid fire
Come on.
lightning round. Okay. There was a song played as you walk up to the tee box. What would it be?
Thunderstruck.
First job.
First job, I was a night waterman at the New Mexico State University. I got fired. I'm not showing up. I was going on a date.
With Pearl?
No.
Oh, no.
I didn't know Pearl yet. She would have, that wouldn't have happened if I was with Pearl.
Okay. She would.
This was high school.
High school. Okay. All right. If you could caddy for anyone, who would it be?
That's a good one. Maybe Tiger.
Okay. If you weren't coaching golf, what would you be doing?
I tell people all the time, if I don't do a good job, I'm going to be working at Circle K. So that might happen someday.
They're a reputable company.
I love it. I love it. I'm just saying my skill set, it doesn't dictate that I can
You're just
do
a bored
much.
coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I don't detract from the people that work. I love the people at Circle K.
You're great at relationships.
Yeah.
Favorite meal?
Whatever Pearl's cooking. That
Good
night.
answer. Golf pants or golf shorts?
Pants.
Scheffler or Spieth?
Both.
You produced 27 All-Americans as a coach. Was Matt Brost your very favorite?
I love Matt Brost. I love Matt Brost. I love his spirit. I love his identity. And I'm very appreciative that he didn't flush me down the toilet after he left Texas. Because I don't think that I was as good as I could be for the team that was then. But I do think it was a gift to be able to coach you guys and that you're the foundation of our success.
Yeah. That's very true.
Well, I just think, a lot of people don't think about this as a coach and a responsibility of the coach. And maybe you just take this responsibility onto yourself. But the relationship that we've had post me being a player there has been really special to me. And I really appreciate it. I feel like, I lost my dad. And I remember losing my dad, realizing, man, I don't and then you lose your mom, you have no parental figures anymore. And, when I call you or when I call on you, I feel like I'm, you're a father figure for me, for sure.
Well,
And so
I appreciate that.
I really appreciate it.
And I can say, just from knowing you now for like 2 whole hours, right, that you're clearly very special and that you're made to do what you're doing. And Matt speaks so highly of you. And he said, hey, this is who we have. And I was like, how? And I know how, but it was just really cool that you made time for this.
Oh, I love
today.
it. I love it.
I want to talk about, though, let's just kind of at the end here, I want to talk about the national championship now and your involvement in it at Lacoste and just the journey of that, what your hopes are for it. It feels like it's a legacy thing that's really cool. And I just want to hear where your heart is with that.
Yeah, I'll give you the real short version.
Okay.
Number one, I feel like I've been called to do this, and I don't know why. Other than the fact that I know that college golf is a great sport, and junior golf and high school golf is a good place for a person to grow up. And so I want to make college golf really special, and I believe it is very special, but I want it to be sustainable in this world that's continuing to grow. And so I believe that we need a permanent site similar to Omaha, which is where the National Baseball Championship is. And Oklahoma city is the permanent site for the women's national championship in softball. Why not golf? And so La Costa, Omni La Costa, which is two wonderful Texas individuals that own the Omni brand, TRT Holdings, right here in Dallas, Texas. Bob and Blake Rolling, Bob being dad, Blake being son. They bought into this idea of hosting it at La Costa. They put $30 million into the golf course, making it one of the top 100 courses in America, I believe, and a wonderful place for both the women and the men to play back-to-back tournaments, national championships. We developed the College World Golf Championships Foundation to underwrite the cost of that. The cost of the tournaments, the two tournaments annually, are about $2 million. In actual fact, it's about $3 million. The NCAA absorbs $1 million in flights and per diem for the student athletes and the coaches that come to play in the tournament. The NCAA is funded by March Madness. I don't know, a lot of people don't know that, but they are. And now with this House ruling, they got to come up with $1.4 billion over a 10-year period, and the schools are going to come up with a $1.4 billion. And that is for student athletes going back to the statute of limitations, 2016, so that they can share in NIL when it wasn't their opportunity. And so that's where the cutoff is. 2016, a judge said $2.8 billion to all these thousands of athletes that didn't get NIL. So they're going to get something. I don't know exactly what, but that means that the NCAA doesn't have as much money to run their 90 event. So we're at the right spot at the right time, and we're praying that Omni La Costa ends up being the permanent site for the national championships going forward in Division I golf. And the value of Omni La Costa, the North Course, which is a great championship test. You have the best weather in the world in San Diego. No chance of rain, no chance of thunderstorms, just 65 to 75 degrees every day with some wind coming off the ocean. And then the East Coast time slot for TV, which is you're playing on the West Coast. You've got that East Coast time slot. That doubles the amount of people that are going to watch the tournament. And what that means is we're going to get to grow. And this podcast is all about growth. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at right now. We're still growing as a golf team. We're still growing as an athletic department. We're still growing as the University of Texas. And we're definitely growing as Division I golf. And where we're headed is an unbelievable place, my belief is. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, I'm happy to be part of it. I have the energy and desire to do it. But if you ask me, why are you doing this? The only thing I could say is I've been called to do it. I don't know exactly why.
Yeah.
But here we are.
You'll have a desire for kind of corporate America to get more involved in it?
100%.
Yeah.
But for that, we need the NCAA to take the handcuffs off because they have 17 partners. And even though those 17 partners like Capital One, Coca-Cola, they don't activate with us because we don't have the viewership yet.
Yeah.
It's like a conundrum. How do you grow unless? And you can't grow unless. And so we are asking them to be benevolent and give us the opportunity to grow. All we need is first right of refusal.
Yeah.
Give them the opportunity to have success with us. If they don't want to do it, we'll find somebody who does. And there's a lot of great people involved in the game of golf that'll help us. Yeah. I know that to be true.
Yeah. That's good.
You could just end with that,
We're
right?
good.
All that he said, it was like so good just to tie it up with a pretty bow.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time, Coach.
Yeah.
It's an honor.
Thank you.
And
great.
I'm glad it worked out. And just thanks for the human being that you are for a lot of people.
Thank you.
So, and I think we kind of finish these things off kind of saying that, no matter what season of life people are in or the people that are listening and that kind of stuff, growth is coming, and you can probably testify to that, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Hook 'em horns.
Thank you. Hook 'em. Come on, Laura.
I'm not.
She's cool. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.